So recently my calc teacher held a Mario Kart 8 tournament for extra credit. I didn't win, and in the days following all I could think about is how I should have been responsible and played more Mario Kart instead of wasting my time studying. This humbling experience led me to pick up my Switch and sent me on my journey to become the perfect Mario Kart 8 racer. Now, the title of Perfect Mario Kart 8 Racer requires a lot of time, dedication, and skill, which I don't have, so instead we're just going to create our own, much more manageable requirements. I decided to earn this title I'd need to take on the hardest challenge this game offers, getting 3-star gold trophies on all Grand Prix at the highest speed. This is my journey to become the perfect Mario Kart 8 racer. Mario Kart Stadium was my first challenge. I had already begun to notice that the CPUs were much closer than they had been on lower speeds, but luckily I still came out on top. Water Park was an easy victory, so I went on to Sweet Sweet Canyon. Unfortunately, a banana peel close to the finish line took away my lead and made me finish third. Now, in order to get a 3-star trophy, you must place first in all 4 races for a total of 60 points. Getting second even once removes your ability to get 3 stars. This means that I now had to restart the cup. My second try was looking a lot better, but again, I lose the lead close to the finish in Sweet Sweet Canyon. However, on the third try, I was starting to gain a better understanding of how I needed to brake, and that's how I secured first, moving me on to Thwomp Ruins, which I beat without any trouble. This 4th victory means I've just secured my first of 12 perfect trophies. Despite an overstart in both Mario Circuit and Toad Harbor, I still came out in first without much trouble. Twisted Mansion and Shy Guy Falls were largely unremarkable, granting me easy first place wins with very little effort. The Star Cup starts with my favorite map, Sunshine Airport, which of course gave me no trouble. Dolphin Shoals was a bit of a struggle, but I still came in first. Unfortunately, I finished second on Electrodome, meaning I had to restart the cup. The next time around, I placed less emphasis on drift boosts and more on sticking to the optimal line. This worked out for me as I soon made it on to Mount Wario. Mount Wario proved to be more of a challenge than I expected, as the slippery track means you have to brake in order to avoid running into walls and losing your momentum. It wasn't anything I couldn't handle though, so I was able to take home my 3rd perfect trophy. Cloud Top Cruise was relaxing as always, but Bone Dry Desert was stolen from me last minute by an awful turn execution and an opponent with a triple mushroom. My second try, however, was almost flawless, which led me on to Bowser's Castle. Now, despite its intimidating appearance, it didn't give me any issues, so I was on to the final track of the cup, the infamous Rainbow Road. Now, I knew my normal strategy of gaining as much speed as possible on every turn with a drift wasn't going to work here. I needed to take this one a little more carefully. My first try was solid until I lost control on the last turn and was overtaken, landing me in second place. It took 3 more tries, but eventually I was able to figure out where I needed to brake and drift, and I took home another perfect cup. The Egg Cup starts off with the Yoshi Circuit, which due to its many winding roads is a pain to go through at high speeds, but I just took it a little slower and I did okay. Excite Bike Arena requires a lot of precise movement to go through the optimal path. Its short length means that CPUs are much more likely to be a threat, as there aren't many ways for you to add a lot of distance to your lead. It took a couple tries and a change in equipment, but I eventually made it onto Dragon Driftway. Now, of course, with my style of racing having a heavy dependence on drifting, I made it through this track just fine. Mute City was another hard-fought victory, but it granted me my 5th perfect cup. I'm just going to start this section with how much I absolutely hate the tracks in this cup. Baby Park is awful. Cheeseland is awful. Crossing Cup is awful. On my first run, Baby Park and Cheeseland didn't give me much trouble. However, I was overtaken in Wild Woods by a Metal Mario on a mission. Then in my attempts to try to get back to Wild Woods, I continuously lost at the very end of Cheeseland due to a shortcut I somehow couldn't manage to get. Then once I finally made it back to Wild Woods, it was easy just for me to get overtaken on the last turn of the Animal Crossing track. It was at this point I started to feel my sanity slipping. I had been playing these tracks on repeat for about 2 hours now, and I hadn't been stuck on any cup for nearly as long prior to this. So obviously, by the time I made it back to the Animal Crossing track, I was ready to be over. It wasn't a hard track, last time was just a fluke. I'll play the clip for you now. Volume warning in advance. Ah! I was so done and over this game by now, but I still kept at it. I was gonna finish this cup no matter what. And I eventually got back to Crossing Cup, and I eventually did it. And I'll play this clip too, but you can hear by the relief in my voice how ready I was to be done with this.
Oh, let's go! Fuck. That should not have taken over an hour to do 1 cup.
And yes, I was very correct. It should not have taken that long to do 1 cup, but luckily it was my 6th, and this was the halfway point, so I felt like I could take a break from this for a little bit. Not much to say about this cup, all easy courses. I just slipped up at the end of Cheap Cheap Beach, but my second try went perfect. Had a sketchy ending on Dry Dry Desert, but a well-timed mushroom saved the day. Donut Plains 3 quickly made it into my most hated list, as its slippery track caused me to spin out multiple times and lose the lead. 3 tries later though, and I eventually made it onto DK Jungle, which in my opinion shows off how creative the track design can be in this game. Oh, and Royal Raceway happened in the middle somewhere. Looks pretty, but not much of note. Wario Stadium kinda sucks, but at least it didn't give me much trouble. Same thing with Sherbet Land, but at least that one has cool visuals. Music Park was easy, and Yoshi Valley's branching paths meant that there was no competition as long as I took the optimal path. Tick-Tock Clock took a couple tries and a bit of brain rot, but I was really dreading Piranha Plant Slide. The winding track and sharp turns did not sound fun on 200cc. Luckily, due to a tactical red shell right before the finish, I was able to complete it first try. Grumble Volcano should have been an easy win, but instead I got blue shelled 3 times, and one of them so close to the finish made recovery impossible. My second try went well, however, so we're now on to the N64 Rainbow Road. This race was going well until close to the finish I got hit by a red shell, meaning I needed to reset yet again. I don't think this one would have taken me as long if it wasn't 5 in the morning when I decided to run it. Wario Mine didn't give me many issues, but predictably Rainbow Road gave me a bit of trouble with some unlucky items at the end of it. My second run on Rainbow Road went much better and was quickly followed up by a close race on Ice Ice Outpost. Due to the NPC's inability to use shortcuts, I was able to take the lead in the end, moving me on to Hyrule Circuit. Thanks to Link's home field advantage, the Triforce Cup was now complete, leaving me with only 1 cup left to go. The Bell Cup was my final challenge, the last cup of 12 which I had to perfect. It started in Neo Bowser City, which was known for having slippery tracks, which meant brake control was crucial to maintain speed. Ribbon Road is one of my favorite tracks because of how many drift opportunities and shortcuts it has. Using those to my advantage, I quickly made it on to Super Bell Subway. I was a bit overconfident after the previous 2 tracks, which led to me getting humbled by a 7th place finish. My second time around was also close, but I came out on top thanks to a mushroom skip right before the finish. Big Blue was the absolute final hurdle. I couldn't slip up here. It was the one race that was going to set me free from this awful challenge forever. The beginning wasn't good, but I got into first during the second section, and using a red shell was luckily able to maintain my lead through the final stretch. Not even gonna lie, I had a whole poetic script ready for this section, but reading it back, it kind of sounds like a awful anime fan fiction, protagonist monologuing at the end of the story. I don't know, my closing thoughts definitely gonna say don't do this. If you enjoy Mario Kart and you're really good at this, and you haven't done this yet,
like this wasn't just a natural progression of you playing the game, don't do this. This wasn't fun. It was at first, but it ruined the game. I taught myself a lot about video editing. That's what I got out of this more than anything. This was my first video editing project, and I'm glad I did it. This was my first attempt at making any sort of YouTube video in 6 years, so I'm glad I did this. But don't do the Mario Kart thing. Find something else to do. I'm not sure the completionist thing is right for me, but I know I'm not going to do this again. Anyway, hope you enjoyed. I got my Twitch linked in the description of my channel, and I'm currently playing Borderlands 1 over there right now, and I'm going to go on to Borderlands 2. So if I make another video anytime soon, hope you enjoy that one as well. And Merry Christmas. Didn't think it would take me this long to do this, but I got really busy, so it did. Yeah, don't do this. God, don't do this. That's the only thing I could ever warn you to do. Just don't do this to yourself if you don't enjoy the game. But like and subscribe if you've been here this long. Thanks.